You're watching News 3, the Southern Illinois news leader, live from WSIL TV in high definition. News 3 starts right now.
I don't know what to do now. I'm just coming out.
A mother in shock. Her son gunned down by police after he took a hostage and refused to surrender to authorities. Good evening. Local and state police still hard at work tonight in Marion. Officers remain on scene nearly 15 hours after they initially got the call about a standoff.
Tonight, the suspect is dead. The woman he held hostage flown to an out-of-state hospital for treatment of a gunshot wound she received during the incident. Here's a closer look at where it happened, near the intersection of West Main and Russell in Marion. The suspect, 27-year-old John Green, held police at bay for about 4 hours. We have team coverage tonight on the standoff. We start with News 3's Michelle Medeiros live on West Main, where the incident began and came to a violent end. Michelle, have police wrapped up their on-site investigation?
Police reopened West Main Street around 3 this afternoon. It was shut down for most of the day as a hostage situation unraveled in the house behind me. Police say that a car parked nearby tipped them off as to what was going on inside the house. Marion officers on routine patrol noticed 2 cars parked by Apple Tree Estates on Russell Street with their dome lights on just after 3:20 Tuesday morning. An officer looking into one of them noticed gloves and ammunition on the seat.
While investigating that, he heard a female screaming. While investigating those screams, they were identified as coming from 1408 West Main. There's an apartment upstairs there. 3:28 a.m., while investigating the reports of the female screaming that he heard, the officers were fired upon.
From there, it escalated into a hostage situation. Officers knew they needed backup.
The neighborhood was evacuated, the streets were closed. Marion's ERT, Williams County Sheriff's Department, and the Illinois State Police responded. Officers
Managed to determine the gunman's identity, 27-year-old Joshua Green of Marion. 4 hours of negotiations made no headway as police blocked off roads, including West Main Street.
At approximately 7:24 a.m., after lengthy negotiations, the suspect exited the apartment with the female that he was holding. At that point, officers ordered Green to surrender.
Police say Green pulled out a gun and shot at police, prompting them to return fire.
Green was pronounced dead at the scene. A firearm was recovered at the scene. During the exchange of fire, a female that was being held was also struck by gunfire.
Police are still trying to determine the motive and the relation between Green and the victim. Police say the investigation is still in its beginning phases. Live in Marion, Michelle Medeiros, News 3.
Thanks, Michelle. And we are still learning more tonight about Joshua Green's past. The Marion man was no stranger to police. He just got out on parole in January after serving less than half of an 8-year sentence for residential burglaries in Johnson and Williamson counties. Prior to that, Green was sentenced to 3 years in prison for forgery in Jackson County in 2008. Earlier that same year, a judge gave Green time for theft and burglary charges in Williamson County. Now, despite his lengthy criminal history, Green's mother says she's shocked by what happened today.
This can't be happening. No, not him. He wasn't that type. He was just a good person. And I got a hole in my heart. And I don't understand.
Now, Brenda Green also said she didn't know of her son ever hurting anyone, but court documents from 2008 show she filed for an order of protection against her son in April of that year. Meanwhile, Joshua Green's probation for his latest residential burglary convictions wasn't set to end until January 2017.
The standoff caused quite a commotion in the homes and businesses around Main Street, disrupting the lives of hundreds of people as West Main remained blocked off most of the day. News 3's Anna Giles joins us now from the scene with how stunned neighbors watched the standoff unfold and how it affected people trying to get to work nearby. Anna?
Well, police are slowly starting to clear out now. I can still see some caution tape out front, but the scene earlier today caused quite a scare for nearby residents, many of whom had children. Chaos took over part of West Main Street this morning after Marion resident Joshua Green held a woman hostage, eventually forcing police to shoot him. Residents nearby woke up to gunshots instead of alarm clocks.
It was about 7-ish, 7:15-ish. All of a sudden, gunshots started ringing out, and there was screaming and all kinds of things. There was just silence after that.
Caleb Martin lives with his parents on Lear Street, just blocks from the scene. His entire street was engulfed by police.
I saw a SWAT team run everywhere, screaming, a lot of screaming.
Latoya Faust, who lives on the same road as Martin, spent the morning in and out of her house trying to get her kids ready for school.
Came back outside, my daughter was chasing our cat, and we just heard shots. And the only thing I could do was say, get down, everybody get down.
Faust said she didn't get much information from police during and after the standoff.
With us not knowing anything, and he's out here getting ready to catch the bus, and then all of a sudden I hear all of this stuff going on, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Faust was blocked into her home for a little while, but was eventually able to drive her kids to school around 8 a.m.
I had no idea it was actually right in back of my house.
Well, as we've been reporting, Main Street is now open. People can drive through, but earlier today, this portion was completely closed down. It caused a big headache for nearby businesses, including Home Health Solutions here, which is a pharmacy. Many employees looking to fill prescriptions and patients looking to pick them up. They had to park blocks away and walk quite a bit just to go in and pick those up. For now, live in Marion, Anna Giles, News 3.
Thank you, Anna. Changing gears now, the weather didn't interfere with any of the police activity along West Main today. Here's Jim with our first word on weather.
Quiet weather for all of us. Any outdoor activities you needed to get to. The weather certainly cooperating again today, but conditions cooler than normal all across the region. Normal high for today. Temperatures we would expect right about now should be running in the upper 60s, even low 70s for all of us. And right now we see a lot of mid 60s, 64 in Mount Vernon and Marion, 63 in Paducah. Cape Girardeau right now at 62, Poplar Bluff a little warmer as well at 64 degrees. Tomorrow looks very similar. I think the day starts with readings in the low 40s, quite a bit of sunshine early, some high thin clouds becoming thicker in the afternoon, and just a little bit warmer. You can see the model putting numbers in the low 70s tomorrow. I think upper 60s to low 70s, a pretty good number. A lot of that will depend on how thick the clouds get in the afternoon. Could be very similar to today. And if that's the case, probably more like a 68 or 69 degree high reading. But from there on, a few more clouds around tomorrow night and Thursday, but more sunshine coming in for Friday and a warm up for the weekend. We'll talk about all of it in the forecast in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jim. To the Crime Watch now. An associate professor at SIU is charged with battering a student. Alan Weston posted $160 cash bond last week and was released. The 54-year-old works in the Mechanical Engineering and Energy Processes Department. Officials say an altercation between Weston and a 22-year-old student happened outside the engineering building. That student did not require medical attention. There's no word on what might have sparked the fight. A Western Kentucky man is behind bars for assault and holding a woman against her will. The Livingston County Sheriff says that Stephen Lee attacked his wife last week and she had to be taken by helicopter to an Evansville hospital. Lee is charged with unlawful imprisonment and assault. He's in the McCracken County Jail right now. And now for a News 3 follow-up on the new Marion City Councilman who's also a police officer. The city attorney is asking a judge to prevent him from working for the police department any longer.
That's right. News 3 has obtained newly filed legal documents in this case. Matthew Norton is live in the newsroom with a look at the city's argument. Matt, did the court papers shed any light on the city's reasoning in this matter?
A little bit. The city attorney is citing a case from Tinley Park near Chicago. In that case, an appellate court ruled a village trustee couldn't also hold the job of a village police officer. Yet there are other cases in Illinois with different outcomes, which is why the Illinois Municipal League says each case like this is very fact-specific. In the Marion case that we're focusing on, of course, Angelo Hightower just took office last night as Marion's first African-American city council member. It was after the meeting that a News 3 camera spotted City Attorney Steve Green talking there with Hightower. Green refused to speak with News 3 about it, but Hightower told us Green demanded that he not show up for work tomorrow at the city police department. Today, Williamson County State's Attorney had this to say about the case.
We're just hoping a resolution comes because there could be some questions as far as the validity of, anything he could possibly be doing on the police end.
Zanotti emphasized that his office is not involved in the court case over whether Hightower can remain a police officer. He just hopes a judge makes a decision soon. But according to the court schedule right now, this case isn't even going to get a hearing until June. And in the research that we at News 3 have been doing on cases like this, they often have to go to appeals courts or the Illinois Attorney General's office, meaning it's possible that this case could drag on for months or years. Live in the newsroom, Matthew Norden, News 3.
Thank you, Matt. Well, tensions remain high in Baltimore tonight as the city's mayor gets heavy criticism for what critics call a slow reaction to civil unrest that left 19 buildings burning, more than 200 people behind bars, and 20 police officers injured. Polo Sandoval explains Maryland's governor vows what happened last night will not happen again.
The crowds are building again on the streets of a major American city. Many of the protests over the death of 25-year-old Freddie Gray have been peaceful, but on Monday, just hours after Gray's funeral, some chose to express their anger by rioting, looting, and injuring at least 15 police officers. 6 of them seriously. The people of Baltimore say enough is enough.
This is so much bigger now than Freddie Gray. And yes, that's an issue too, but now we're battling something else.
As many urge today's demonstrators to remain peaceful, the finger-pointing for Monday's violence continues. Some have criticized the city for not responding quick enough to the violence. National Guardsmen stand alongside police since the Maryland governor's state of emergency declaration.
Criminal activity will not be tolerated. We're going to ensure we're going to bring whatever resources are necessary. We're not going to have another repeat of what happened last night. It's not going to happen tonight.
50 miles away in Washington, President Obama called Monday's agitators, quote, thugs.
A handful of people taking advantage of a situation for their own purposes, and they need to be treated as criminals.
A citywide curfew will be in effect tonight from 10 to 5 a.m. Officials hope today's crowd stay calm as day creeps tonight. In Baltimore, Maryland, I'm Polo Sandoval reporting.
Coming up at 6, the Illinois State Treasurer stops at SIU to talk about making college more affordable.
Plus, a local group that says it saves Illinois millions every year by providing services to those who don't belong in a hospital speaks out about proposed budget cuts. You're watching News 3 at 6.
You're watching News 3 at 6 with Dennis Turner, Jayla Gray, Chief Meteorologist Jim Razor, and Sports with Darren Kennard.
More groups are speaking out tonight against potential budget cuts from Governor Rauner.
Today, workers at Centerstone argued they actually saved the state millions, and a cut to their budget would change that. News 3's Craig Choate got an explanation from the Centerstone CEO. Craig, what's his reasoning here?
Well, he says that Centerstone actually saved the state of Illinois $4.1 million in 2014, leading him to believe that the state should cut funds in other places rather than the group that actually saves the state money. Centerstone, Illinois serves more than 10,000 people a year, providing residential and vocational services that allow people to work and function within the community as opposed to hospitals or institutions. CEO John Markley says Illinois should cut other places and not Centerstone.
We believe that, like everyone else does in Illinois, that we have to start living within our means. Some of the proposed cuts don't really make sense with regard to cutting those services and forcing people into more expensive and more intensive type services.
Markley also says Centerstone prevented more than 500 hospitalizations of people in a crisis last year. He continued by saying talks with lawmakers have been productive and hopes that they realize the importance that they serve to so many lives. Live in the studio, Craig Choate, News 3.
Thanks, Craig. A gorgeous day out there at Crab Orchard Wildlife Refuge.
It looks like a cool night ahead and more clouds tomorrow. Jim's up next with forecast.
Putting accuracy first. This is News 3 weather.
It has been on the cool side, but certainly has been nice to see dry weather stick around and overall a dry outlook coming up. Some rain off to our south, not making any progress this direction. Actually, the little tiny chance for a few light showers we have not coming from the system off to the south. We're actually watching what's coming in from the north. But you can see the showers that really were pretty heavy rain in parts of Texas yesterday, spreading all through the southern states right now, but again staying away from us, the cool air keeping it mashed off to the south, not making much progress. Now we did see the clouds moving in from those storms. You can see they spread across, but they were the high thin clouds. By afternoon though, in some spots they had thickened up quite a bit, kept temperatures cooled off once again. Normal high 70, 71, even 72 in some of our counties. Now we might have been that warm if these clouds had not thickened up so much. Tomorrow we have a chance. I think we're going to see the same sort of cycle. Sun in the morning, clouds in the afternoon. I just don't think they're going to be quite as thick, so temperatures should bounce up. We have seen that off to the west today. Kansas City up to 71, Omaha up to 72, Amarillo warming but still much cooler than normal. 59 right now, but remember we were watching temperatures in the 40s with the rain a day ago. Chicago 54 right now. 41 was our low this morning, much cooler than the normal of 50. Our high this afternoon only 64, but I did see some spots where the clouds not quite as thick. They were more like 66 and 67 degrees. No rain in the gauge for today, but we're still more than 2 inches wetter than normal for the year. Temperature range from some of our WeatherNet sites very similar. Low 40s all across the region. I didn't see any upper 30s this morning. Doesn't mean it didn't happen in 1 or 2 little isolated spots, but even McLeansboro 41 this morning. 64 coming in from Goreville, Marion, and McLeansboro. Campbell Hill, one of our warmer spots, reporting 67 degrees this afternoon. 63 in Harrisburg at the middle school right now. Northeast winds continue. They'll blow into the evening, but I think go calm later tonight. It looks like tomorrow north winds likely going to come back in the afternoon, but morning winds should be very light. Skycast cycling through the night. The clouds, well, the main thing is the rain's moving away. Clouds showing up in the afternoon, and there comes that push in from the north, even producing some projected rain showers right along the Mississippi River by tomorrow afternoon. That little batch of energy expected to go through here very late tomorrow night or early Thursday. Certainly during the dark hours, that brings a chance for a sprinkle or a light shower, but I think most of us likely going to stay dry, or at least not even have that 1/100th to measure. Tonight it's clearing skies, dropping temperatures back into the low 40s once again. Tomorrow, lots of sun and blue skies in the morning, more clouds around in the afternoon. North to northeast winds in the afternoon. High temperatures in the upper 60s, close to 70 degrees. Same sort of afternoon Thursday, except we're going to flip it over. I think Thursday will start with the clouds and end up with clearing, and that sets us up for a mostly sunny Friday and temperatures back into the 70s. And then the real warming is expected to kick in during the weekend, but that warming will come with a south flow, more clouds, and more chances for showers, not just on Sunday, but through much of next week.
Rest of the week, I think I hear lawnmowers starting.
I think you're right.
Thanks, Jim. Well, there is a new push to change the way Illinois draws up its legislative districts. Right now, lawmakers already in office draw the lines every decade after the census. But a group called Independent Maps wants an 11-person nonpartisan commission to draw the maps instead. They're pushing to get the change onto the 2016 ballot. That will require nearly 300,000 signatures on a petition. There was a push last year to make that change, but it failed. This time, advocates say they're changing their approach.
The Illinois State Treasurer had a lot to say about his job and the state's financial troubles today at SIU. Michael Frerichs visited Carbondale to talk about his first 100 days in office. Part of that talk included discussion of an audit looking at the state of the Treasurer's office. In similar talks around Illinois, as he did here, Frerichs has pushed the state's college savings program. He calls it something that can help families pay for college as tuition goes up to partially cover state budget cuts.
There is no doubt that tuition is going to have to rise, or quality is going to decrease precipitously. And at a time when too many families feel like college education is increasingly out of reach to them and their children, I think those kind of cuts and those priorities are increasingly out of touch.
Frerichs also added students and families need to remain aware of education costs before they make any decisions.
Our News 3 this morning gang is preparing to step back in time once again. Here's Kevin Huntsberger with a look ahead.
If you're looking for a job, we can help. There are several companies that are hiring. We'll have an update in our Job Squad report, plus more on a job fair coming to the region. Plus, nowadays we turn to our smartphone when we want to play a video game, but back in the day it took one of these, a shiny quarter, to make it happen. We'll explain in our Way Back Wednesday segment. We'll see you at 5 a.m.
Baseball Illini take on the Salukis tonight. We'll have that coming up next in sports.
This is News 3 Sports in HD.
The baseball Salukis will try to slow down one of the hottest teams in the country tonight as the Dogs are hosting 6th-ranked Illinois. The Illini have won 17 straight and are 36-6-1 on the season. Illinois has wasted little time, scoring 2 in the first to grab a 2-0 lead. We'll have highlights of this one for you coming up on News 3 at 10. For the second straight day, the White Sox and Orioles game has been postponed due to the riots in Baltimore. Those postponed games will be made up as part of a doubleheader May 28th. Now, tomorrow's scheduled series finale will be played at 2:05 at Camden Yards, but it will look a lot like this. The game will be closed to the public and played in an otherwise empty stadium. The Orioles series with the Rays this weekend has been moved from Baltimore to St. Petersburg, Florida. Nationally tonight, the Chicago Cubs will try to make it 2 straight wins over Pittsburgh at Wrigley. The Cubs blanked the Pirates 4-0 last night behind Jason Hamill. And the Cards will try to avoid a 3-game losing skid tonight at home against Philadelphia. 3-0 Michael Wacha will start for the Redbirds. The Phillies won last night 4-1. The Chicago Blackhawks and Minnesota Wild should be well rested for their second-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Game 1 will be at 8:30 Friday night at the United Center. The Blackhawks finished off Nashville in the first round Saturday night, while the Wild eliminated the Blues Sunday. Game 2 of the Blackhawks and Wild will be on Sunday. The Chicago Bulls still haven't punched their ticket for the second round yet. The Bucks staved off elimination for the second straight game, forcing a Game 6 back in Milwaukee with last night's 94-88 win at the United Center. Pau Gasol led Chicago with 25 points and 10 rebounds, but had little other help. The Bulls shot 34% on the night, finishing 4 of 18 from three-point range. Now a series that was seconds away from being over Saturday night continues.
Couldn't make shots, so but you got to give them credit. They made, so we're going to have to do better.
We're going to have to play the next game like it's the last game. Done it to ourselves, so now we have a very difficult challenge in front of us. Now they have momentum, they have confidence, and they're going home to force Game 7.
Game 6 will be Thursday night in Milwaukee. Tip time has yet to be announced. Bulls have some homework to do. Yeah, they're really struggling right now. Right.
Thanks, Darren. We'll be right back. Just any excuse to get outside this week is probably a good idea.
And it just keeps getting better, a couple of degrees here and there, and it looks like similar improvement tomorrow. St. Louis maybe up to 71, Chicago up to 63. The rain that's been in the south will be in the southeast, but not here.
Nice to know.
Thanks, Jim. That does it for us Entertainment Tonight. Coming up next here on Channel 3.
So for Jayla, Jim, Darren, and the entire News 3 team, I'm Dennis Turner. Thanks for joining us this evening, and we'll be looking for you again tonight at 10.